Hi everybody, welcome back for another video. You know, I stand up for all aspects of less lethal, from the lower end of the power to the upper end and everything in between. I believe that there is a right tool for the right job, and I'm gonna react to some Byrna mean comments today and give you my input. Stay tuned. I always find it entertaining to read through these comments on Byrna launcher post. I don't know why the Byrna itself stimulates such a reaction from the community. Maybe it's because they're so widely and aggressively marketed as an alternative to firearms. I don't know. I think in general there's always a lot of pushback on Byrna, and they hold their own. I mean, they push back as well. But I read these comments, and it's always interesting to hear some of the feedback, and some of it is valid, and some of it is just, I'll go with my gun. So let's scroll down and just take a look at this. Is a very recent post. There's not a lot of comments yet on this one, but I think these are generally consistent. So first one here: would be amazing in 45 ACP. Would be a great drinking game. Looking for other, fires the ball with a 5.56 blank instead of CO2. Good option for people who can't possess a firearm. So here's one out of the first four who's actually positive. The others are pretty much your straight, firearm only guys. Be a fun addition for our family Nerf wars. I'll keep my real gun. I'll stick with my Glock. So I usually see that there's about the 50-50, but usually these comments don't really add to the discussion, in that saying that I'll keep my gun is not really the point of a Byrna. The Byrna is not meant to replace your gun. It's meant to provide a level of force between, telling someone to back off or to have to pull a firearm. Having intermediate levels of force, in my mind, is a very good thing. Here's one, a real game changer. The victim gets to increase their likelihood of injury or death. That's actually a negative comment, saying that basically when you pull this, I see it often, that's the best way to get shot. You're just going to make yourself a target. Just throw a rock, use it as a blunt tool. Gun is cheaper and more effective. Now, in many cases, less lethal is not less expensive. Less lethal can cost more, and I think what you're doing is you're paying a little more upfront for the luxury value of not having to kill someone, but hopefully to have enough punch and enough stopping power to dissuade someone to get away and to not cause you harm. Pulling a gun on someone who doesn't have a gun may make you feel strong and powerful, but you're putting yourself at a significant legal risk. Pulling a less lethal on someone that doesn't have a gun is far more attractive from my point of view. That's just my feeling. A special kind of stupid to bring a toy like this to a gunfight. A gun will incapacitate an attacker for life. I don't know if that's meant to be good or bad. I don't want to incapacitate an attacker for life. I just want to get away from the situation. This one is actually a pretty good point. They say that, at 20 feet, even though we say that's a distance, those clouds, I know from personal experience, though I've done it inside the house. I've also done it outside, shooting a brick wall. And in both cases, on impact, I smelt the smell of the baby powder at 20 feet. So I don't know, but I strongly suspect that at 20 feet, if there is a nice cloud and you are having an effect on an attacker, or not even an attacker, that there's a threat and you're trying to tell them to get away or to put a line of powder in between you, I do believe you probably will pick up some of it, but I would advise on those shots, you should be going the other direction. You should not be hanging around. You should not be having your only exit be going through that cloud. Otherwise, you're tactically just putting yourself in a hole. Then there's other comments here, most of which are not helpful. A lot of times people focus on the price. A lot of times people say, well, yeah, but in California, what really are your options? Yeah, having a Byrna might be a good option in jurisdictions where you can't have a gun, and that's their big selling point. You can take these in a lot of cities and a lot of places. When you can't take your gun, you take your Byrna. And I say this as I don't own a Byrna. I don't in any way have a connection to Byrna. But I find their platform looks reliable. It looks like it's a nice product, and I believe it has enough punch to provide a cloud, and I believe that they make potent chemical products. But I don't personally own one, and I have not yet been motivated enough that I felt I need to buy one at this point. But Byrna does get a hard time from these commenters, and these are pretty typical. This one is a common one, and I happen to agree with this one, and I gave it a like. There is a certain ignorance among pro-firearm people, and essentially it's a firearm, a life and death, or not, or nothing, and it's never an all or none. Legally, it's never an all or none. The Byrna is a defensive tool, and it can provide some intermediate level, and that's what less lethal is all about. That's what we want to preach. So I would encourage everyone who is into less lethal, be careful about your language and be sure that you define and describe in more detail, more explicitly, how you would use your launcher. If you're talking about how powerful it is, or you're talking about your joules, and your modifications and how this is a potent weapon for you to use, also frame it in the right context so that people understand the risk and benefit analysis of that, good and bad. So the Byrna is clearly on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of power for less lethal. A lot of people say waste of money, just buy a real firearm, and I do believe that firearms are cheap, they're readily available, they're powerful, they will get the job done. I can't argue with those points. You have to first be convinced to buy into the less lethal concept, and if you're not convinced, firearm financially makes much more sense, except that these are fun. You can shoot them at home, around your house. You can reuse the ammo in most cases. And so these can be quite cost effective in the long run. Ammo will cost you an arm and a leg over time. And then you've got all of the legal consequences and also the difficulty of going to a range or finding a good place to shoot. So these offer what they offer. A Byrna is a Byrna. I happen to be a supporter of all varieties of less lethal. I believe that they each have pros and cons, and just because one is stronger than another, or one does this and one does that, does not make this one better than that one. It just means that one is better for this person in this situation, and another one may be better for you and in your situation. So I thought it would be informative. I have no affiliation with Byrna. I have never shot a Byrna. If I'm ever in Las Vegas, I know they have a place set up, and next time I'm there, I definitely will seek them out. But everybody just think about the Byrna and how it's used and what are the endpoints. It's not the same as what you would want for a firearm. It's comparing apples and oranges, and those kind of discussion points are really meaningless and not helpful. Comparing it to a firearm is not helpful. So let's be careful with our language, and let's try to make less lethal discussion really about less lethal, and know what we're talking about. So I think that's all I want to say about this. I hope that's helpful. That's my reaction to a typical Facebook group Byrna post. Everybody take care. We'll see you in the next one.